Sargon of Akkad.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to sit down with you. So, for the viewers, last week there was a viral video where Sargon of Akkad was invited to speak at King's College London. It was attacked by Antifa. It got violent. On the same day, there was 3 other events attacked in universities. There's an attack going on free speech at universities and people's opinions. I'm here, I want to talk to you about it, hear more about it. But first of all, I want to speak to viewers that may not know who you are. There was a moment that created Tommy Robinson. What was the moment that created Sargon of Akkad?
It's not really very dramatic
Right.
or very glorious. Basically, I've always been an English liberal. I've always been very concerned with our own political traditions and the history that goes right the way back to the Magna Carta, where the barons forced King John to sign the document that would protect their property from arbitrary seizures from the crown. And this system of political theory has developed for 800 years to the point where we have a very strong, very secure civic nationalist democracy. And this has been a remarkably stable system. It's been responsive to change from just any kind of quarter for over hundreds of years. We haven't had a civil war since Charles I. So I think this is demonstrably the best system. And I think that it's important to maintain the integrity of the system. And the key focus of the integrity of the system is the equality of citizens. They all have to have the same rights, the same responsibilities, and the same duties. And when I see, for me it was the far left, privileging certain types of people based on arbitrary characteristics. For example, they were female, they were non-white, they were maybe not disabled because that's different, but they were, like gay or whatever arbitrary characteristic. And then starting to promote these people based on those characteristics, to me that seems deeply illiberal and unfair. And so that's how I found myself originally speaking out about this, because I was a white man and I was being told I couldn't do things because I was a white man. I mean, I'm not a particularly ambitious person, but I just, in principle, I was like, no, that's unacceptable. And that's how I got started commentating on all of this.
When was that? How long have you been doing it?
4 years ago now.
4 years ago.
Oh, well, no, no, this would be the 5th year. So
up until that point, what was you doing before that?
Oh, I was just working in office jobs.
So your life's completely changed?
Yeah, totally different, yeah. But I mean, I don't regret a moment of it. I'm glad that I actually thought, right, okay. Yeah, I mean, especially when I started doing this, I was most concerned about feminism because it was intruding in the hobbies that I like to enjoy. And I mean, it's, it might not seem like the greatest problem in the world, but anything that's attacking the structural integrity of the...
Like what? Like what hobby?
Well, literally, like, for example, affirmative action. I can't stand the idea of affirmative action, which is going to hire people based on their gender or their race. That's awful, because people don't seem to understand. As soon as you say, right, I'm only going to pick certain people based on these arbitrary characteristics, then you aren't necessarily discriminating against other people on the same basis.
Which we see the BBC doing regularly now.
Absolutely. At the moment, you can go to the BBC's website and actually find positions for, and it's not even, I mean, if it was like in a historical documentary or something, I can understand we need a black person for a documentary set in Africa. Okay, totally understand. But when it's a research assistant behind the scenes and they literally say, this is not open to white British, I'm sorry, that's too far. And that's my license paying money that's subsidizing discrimination against me on the basis of my race. No, it's too far. I can't accept that.
And because I remember when I first done my interview.
Yeah.
How long ago was that? Probably 2 years?
About 2 years now.
2 years ago. And I remember...
That was a dangerous interview for me to do.
It was, and I respect you completely for doing it, because you took a risk. Yeah. You took a risk. In fact, that interview might be part of the reason why you get attacked by Antifa.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly.
They don't bring it up, though.
Don't they? No. And I remember when I spoke to you, the first time I spoke to you, and I remember asking you, so what do you do then? What do you do for a job? He said, I do this.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, what do you mean you do this? I said, but what do you do for a job? And he said, I do this is my job. Yeah. Which I found fascinating, because I never looked into all the YouTubing and the speaking and all the different events like that. But yeah, I was fascinated by it.
It's a wonderful job. And I mean, I personally always felt very constrained working in offices. I don't really like having a boss. I like being my own boss, and I like, because you don't know what you're going to be able to do tomorrow. And so there's something about it that really pushes me forward. Maybe one day I'll end up back in an office, but I hope not.
I don't think you will.
Yeah, I hope not.
Talk to us about what happened at King's College London. Was you surprised by what happened? The reason for me is that we've always seen attacks on people. Like, I've had 6 or 7 events cancelled at universities. They bracket me and target me as far right, which I'm not, but that's what they do, and that's how they manage to whip people up to attack me. Yeah. You're a liberal.
Yes.
Jordan Peterson is the people who are now, what's shocking for me is the guys and the bracket of people that are now coming under attack to silence has shifted so far.
Yeah.
Why would Antifa want to be silencing you? What do you think?
Well, there's a lot of potential answers to that question. I mean,
because there's one shouting fascist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not just insulting; it's just politically illiterate to call liberals fascists. But I think the problem is that Antifa are broadly made up of some variant of extremely far left Marxist, and so when you are that far left, anything to the right of Mao Zedong looks like Adolf Hitler, and so they really. I think what they do is they take a few strains of political theory. For example, like I'm in favor of the existence of a nation state, and I'm in favor of that nation state being able to control who comes in and out of their borders. Well, so is a fascist regime. That's true. These are common components that both a liberal democracy and a fascist state would also, but they would both hold that principle to be true. And so I think that's how they rationalize it in their own minds. Because these people are for no borders whatsoever. These are anarchists. Yeah. They want to get rid of the state. They want to get rid of money. They want to have...
Get rid of police.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't want any kind of hierarchical structures. And I think Jordan Peterson has demonstrated multiple times, humans are hierarchical creatures. No matter how... I mean, and this is something we've seen even from documentaries within like Antifa's own organization. They find themselves breaking into hierarchies just because naturally you get some people who are leaders and some people who are followers. It's just normal. And so I think that the fact that I'm not against the concept of hierarchy or borders or nations, and neither are fascists, I think that's how they rationalize it. That's the most charitable interpretation I can give.
So because you don't believe in open borders, you're fair game to be attacked?
I think so, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the people on the stage, there was an English liberal and a Jewish objectivist, and they broke in screaming that we were fascists and Nazis. It's ridiculous.
Were they students at that university? Do you know?
I believe that one of them was actually running to be a student leader of some kind at King's College London. The staff themselves, the administration of the university, there were lots of people who turned up to hear us speak who weren't students, and they refused them entry. So the only people in the room could be students. So they had about 4 or 5 people, who had been
started shouting when all the others come in with balaclavas on.
Exactly, they stood up and started giving it up, and it's like, right, okay, so they must be students because they must have shown student ID to get in. So yes.
I wonder what the university said what they're going to do about that.
No, I've had
they're not going to do anything.
No, they're not going to do anything. And this is the problem.
Many of the professors. Yep. That's where it's dangerous, because what they seem to want to create is no platforming for anyone other than their views, and then what we'll create, which is what you're meant to be challenged. Your ideas are supposed to be challenged at university. That's where we're meant to breed the next generation of thinkers.
Subscribe to the channel and be a nice person, sir. Follow me on Twitter, okay? Have a bloody nice day over there with a quite nice weather. Bye.